morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you all officially to John Carney's book launch. My name is Kylie Bartlett and I'll be the MC for the morning. Before we jump into the presentation, there's a few wonderful partners and sponsors that I'd like to thank. In particular, Astute Financial, Coastline Financial Group, Coulter Roach Lawyers, Davidson Accountants, Geelong Financial Group, geez, a few Geelongs here, Geelong Real Estate Advocates, Jovic Accounting, National Lending Group and Whitford Property. I'm pretty excited about being asked to do this emceeing role this morning because John is also a client of mine and a wonderful friend, so it's a very proud moment for me being able to do this emceeing role. So let me tell you a little bit about John. So John Carney is a real estate entrepreneur and the author, how good's that sound, John? Author of Real Estate is a Team Sport, the 9 players you need to profit. John's new book outlines the steps to becoming a smarter, more profitable property investor. John teaches investors to plan for the future and build a cash flow positive real estate assets in order to multiply their wealth. He believes that investors who recruit a team of smart professionals who have unique skills, knowledge and experience is how one positions themselves to profit in the real estate business. The more a person exercises their investment muscle, the more they get to play the game and the closer they are to becoming a big winner. John landed in Melbourne with his Australian wife in 2009. The global financial crisis was in full swing, I think we all know about that. And the US housing market was at a record low, meaning massive opportunities for investors. John successfully invested in the US housing market from his desk in South Melbourne and enabled his Aussie clients to safely build US property portfolios as well. Soon he began hunting for local opportunities and set his sights on our beautiful town in Geelong. John has learned that his framework for investing in real estate can be applied to any property market in any country at any time. He now delivers his team approach and 5-step method to the Australian population who are looking to invest locally. As a part of his entrepreneurial spirit, John loves exploring the intersection between lifestyle and challenge. John has constantly challenged himself to strive to be better. If there is no challenge, there is no growth. I would like you to all put your hands together and welcome John to the stage.
Good morning. There was a time when we were in high school and we made a decision about what we wanted to do with our careers. And we followed through with that in university. If we studied hard and worked hard and got good grades, that would lead towards a career with a company, the right job. So after we graduated from uni, we would go out into the workforce and join a company. The longer we worked for this company in our chosen field, the more experience we gained, we climbed the corporate ladder, we earned more money. And we rest assured that every fortnight, along with our paychecks, we were also getting a contribution to our retirement fund, our superannuation. And as good taxpayers, we also knew that we were contributing towards our government pension. And then there would come a time when our children graduated from university and left the house, and hopefully soon thereafter we closed the door on the 9-to-5 and entered into retirement, knowing that over our working careers we had set aside money to comfortably retire and do what we planned for. Now this formula has been permanently disrupted for me. I'm 40 years old, and to retire in Australia on the cash flow from my investments, if I want $100,000 per year, say, I'll need to have a net asset base of $2 million. Now here's something that I wasn't told prior to going to school, and that was about financial institutions that were safe and where you could buy shares in companies. For example, the Geelong Building Society or Pyramid Building Society, where that could just disappear overnight. or that the bad guys sometimes wore a suit and tie and took our money with the promise of a high return, like Chartwell Enterprises, or that the large companies that were too big to fail could wind back and also close up shop. Ford Motor Company, Shell Oil, Alcoa. And then there's also terrorists and dictators in faraway lands and wars that we can't control. Acts of Mother Nature. Things can go wrong. But what we can control is how we invest the money that we do earn. So today in Australia, more and more people are looking at property as a way to secure their financial future and plan for retirement through bricks and mortar. Unfortunately, not everybody is doing this correctly. See, investing in real estate is a business. And businesses exist for one reason, and one reason only. That's to profit and to grow. So you might only own one investment property. That's still a business. Or you may own 100 units. That's a slightly larger business, scaled-wise. And even if you're thinking about purchasing your very first investment property, you're in a startup mode, and you must adopt a commercial mindset. See, I like this quote from Warren Buffett's mentor, a guy by the name of Benjamin Graham, who says that business or investment is most intelligent when it's most business-like. So investing in real estate is a business. So there's no company that just turns over a profit and grows by magic. Quarter after quarter and year after year, there's just simply no product that's good. So let's have a look at what companies do to be profitable and grow. They have goals or targets. So for a company to profit and grow, it must have something that they're looking forward to achieving. How do they go about doing this? We've all maybe heard of a business plan. So companies have a plan that they follow to hit their targets, to achieve their goals. For investing in real estate, I think of this as an action plan, right? We have to be active when we're investing in property. So there's a myth that I'd like to bust, and that is that you can be a passive investor and money will just magically appear in your account if you buy a property. So that mentality sort of sets investors up for failure. See, it's only active investors that pay attention to their assets and pay attention to their property portfolios that end up being successful, that profit, and that grow. So businesses have goals and they have a plan, right? Two components to growth and profits. So let's have a look at some of the businesses and household names that we know. We have Mark Zuckerberg in Facebook. We have Richard Branson in Virgin. And we also have Mark Boris here in Australia in the Yellow Brick Road. What is it that allows these entrepreneurs to keep growing their businesses and be successful? So this is something that I was interested in learning. So I'm going to take everybody back a few years to 2003, 2004. This is when I started my very first commercial venture. And I was living in the United States. And I was also evaluating commercial real estate investment opportunities and development sites. Now, I had a mentor who could help me evaluate the real estate and do the math. But aside from that, I was also reading a lot of books. I wanted to know what the business leaders that I was seeing on the news and reading about in the newspapers were doing to be successful. A few of those books were written by Jack Welch. He's the star CEO known for running General Electric. And Lee Iacocca, the CEO tasked with turning Chrysler Motor Group around. I bought a Jeep. And Richard Branson, who wasn't very well known and still isn't in the United States, but is popular here. He'd just finished his first book, Losing My Virginity. And I even read current American presidential candidate Donald Trump's book, because I was interested in real estate, The Art of the Deal, all looking for insight that could make me better in business. So during the winter of 2004, I was working as a professional ski patroller on Vail Mountain for Vail Resorts. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the ski industry, Vail Mountain's the largest ski mountain in North America, and Vail Resorts is the largest owner and operator of ski areas globally. So one afternoon, I was standing up at patrol headquarters, PHQ, at the top of the mountain, and a gentleman walked in. I was standing right by the front door, and he looked me dead in the eye, then down at my name tag, then back in the eye. And he said, "John, you have the best job in the world." And I thought to myself, our job's all right, but is it really the best job in the world? So I motioned towards his arm, which was in a sling, and said, "Sir, have you been a recent client of the Vail Ski Patrol?" And he said, "Yes, I have. The other day, during that big snowstorm, I lost my balance and fell over and broke my arm. Guest service skied by with a radio and called Ski Patrol. And before I knew it, 2 patrollers were on scene. They had my arm stabilized. They had me packaged up in a toboggan and off that cold mountain and into a warm ride to the hospital. It was seamless. What great teamwork. I think you guys have the best job in the world." Now, this gentleman was wearing a cap that said test pilot. And I thought to myself, Top Gun, the right stuff. That seems like a pretty cool job. So I asked, "Are you a test pilot?" And he said, "Yes, I am. I've been a test pilot for many aircraft. And at this stage of the game, I'm happy that I survived all these exciting missions." And that's when I noticed that embroidered on the side of this man's hat in gold, it said S. Fawcett. So if you don't know who Steve Fawcett is an American businessman, successful entrepreneur. He's a member of the Explorers Club, and he holds a list of world records a mile long in avionics, specifically hot air ballooning and sailing. And I just finished reading Richard Branson's book, where he went into detail about his adventures with Steve Fawcett and his pursuit, Virgin's pursuit to be the first manned team to circumnavigate the globe in a hot air balloon. So here he was, right in front of me, Steve Fawcett. I had to ask him a question. So I said, "Steve, I'm a young entrepreneur. I explained that I was reading books and that I was interested in Richard Branson's success story. Do you mind if I ask what you gentlemen talked about when you were in these hot air balloon capsules high up in the stratosphere for 2 days in a row with no sleep in close, confined quarters?" He said, "Sure, John. It wasn't that exciting." See, Richard and the engineer, the guy that designed the capsule, they talked about money. That's all they talked about. How much this mission was going to cost, what their businesses were investing in, how much money they were going to make this year, what opportunities they were looking at next year. So it was really just a conversation about money, even though they were flying around the world in a world record attempt. So before I could ask Steve another question, in walks his grandchildren to collect him for the family photo. Our time was over. But before he left, he turned to me and he said, "John, you have to understand this about Richard Branson. I think it's great that you're going out to start your own business and be an investor, but you have to understand that Richard didn't end up where he is today without a lot of help from a lot of people that have skills and experiences that he doesn't have." And that really was a light bulb moment. That's where I saw the reading between the lines, and all these stories I was reading by these successful business leaders and continue to read, it's the same formula. They rely on a team of people following a plan to achieve a goal. So if Richard Branson follows this formula for the Virgin Group that we all know very well, we can apply it for our real estate investment businesses. Now, to talk a little bit more about investing in property here in Australia today and the benefits towards your retirement plan, we have a keynote speaker.